Okay, so this is going to be a video on how to reset a password using the Hiren's boot CD. So first things first is to go get the Hiren's boot CD. Sent you a link to that. You're going to go to hirensbootcd.org. You go to downloads, and in downloads at the bottom it has the option for older versions. Somewhere, yeah, way at the bottom, down here in gray. So once you choose that, it'll give you a list of old versions. You're going to choose from the list. I chose version 12.0 because I knew that one was, I did a search and figured out that one is a Windows 32-bit compatible version, so it will work on Windows XP. So once you download that, you're going to download the CD. It's in a zip file. That'll come to you, and you'll download it. You'll get the zip file. Just extract it. You can extract it to the same folder, your downloads folder. Inside the downloads folder, there's a bunch of commands for you to burn. You know, they've even got a command line executable for you to burn a CD, but you don't need to do that. The ISO file is right here. In Windows 10, you can just burn that to a CD, just right click on it. If you need to burn it to a USB stick, you'll have to go download a tool like Rufus. So Rufus. So Rufus.ie. You can download that. It allows you to make USB sticks that are bootable. So once you have the software and you've got it on a CD, preferably a CD because it'll make it easier, we're going to go back to the machine, and that machine you're going to want to stick the CD in. So in my case, this is a virtual machine, so I'm going to go to the optical drive. I'm going to choose my disk image. Actually, I'm going to choose my file. And it's going to come up with a list, and then I can go to downloads, Hiren CD 12.0, choose my ISO file, and hit open. So now it's as though I just inserted it into that machine. I also on that machine need to tell it to boot in order so that it boots the CD before the hard drive. You may have to change the BIOS to do that. Depending upon that PC, use different commands, either delete or F1 or F2 or F12 or F10 to jump into the BIOS. Just depends on the machine. So when it boots up, pay attention, read the screen. When it says go to settings or change bootloader or boot manager, choose that option. So in this machine, it is a virtual machine, so I've got the CD installed. I've got it loaded, so I'm going to restart this machine. I don't know the password to the IE user. It was supposed to be password, but it didn't work, so it doesn't matter. I'm just going to hit restart. It should now boot up into that CD if everything's right. So this is what it looks like. Let me make sure this is still recording what I'm seeing. Okay. So on here, I'm in the Hiren's boot CD. I need to click on the window so I can activate the window, but basically you're going to have the choice of moving around like this. You can go into a little mini XP, or you can choose to go into the offline NT 2000 XP Vista or Windows 7 password changer. This is the same thing that's on that YouTube video. It's going to boot up. It's going to load a little Linux kernel. It's going to then give us a series of commands. It says, hey, don't panic. Usually the defaults are okay. Just press enter all the way down through the questions. Okay, step 1, select the disk you want where your Windows is installed. Don't know what that's going to show you. It could show you 2 partitions. It could show you 1 partition. In my case, it's just 1. So you'll see right here, and let me move my mouse, right here it says candidate Windows partition found. Number 1, it's the dev SDA1, and it's about 4 gigs, and it's bootable. So my options are to select that partition or Q for quit, which is common. So if you mess up and you're like, just hit Q and you can quit and start over. Automatically start disk drivers, blah, 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 blah. You see all the options. I'm going to choose 1 because that is the Windows partition. So I'm going to click back in here. I don't need to actually put in 1. It's already in the default, so I'm just going to hit enter. Now it says it mounted that partition. It assumed the file system type was NTFS, so let's really check to see if it is. Yep, it is. It seems to be reading okay. So they're going to mount it. This may take up to a few minutes. Boom, success. So they're just giving us progress. Now we're at step 2. Select the path and the registry files. So it's looking for the different paths automatically. So it immediately checked to see if Windows was found in the Windows folder, found it. It found the system folder, found it under System 32. It found the config, it found under config, and it found that all that's located under the Windows System 32/config, which is the default for Windows. So it tested that before it actually presented us this option. So now it says what path is to the registry directory, and it gives us the actual path as the default. So we don't have to actually enter this in. We could manually enter it in, or we can accept the default. So we're going to hit enter. So what does it do? After we put that in, it actually scrolls through that, loads the registry, and it says what part of the registry do you want to select. You want to go through the security settings, you want to go into the recovery console, or you just want to quit. So we're going to be changing passwords, so we're going to go into the security settings, which is the SAM. So we're going to say 1, which it's already selected for us. Now it says, okay, let's see what has happened to the SAM. It checks to see if there are any failed logins and if there are any login limitations that have been set by the administrator. Failed logins before lockout is currently set to 0. Minimum password length is currently set to 0, and the password history count is all 0. So in this particular operating system, we don't have any restrictions as far as our passwords go, how many times we can use the same password, etc. So now that they've got it, we're in the SAM, we have a choice. We can edit the user data and passwords. We can go into the registry edit and just simply start editing the registry, or we can quit. We're going to obviously go into set to users, so we can press 1. It's going to give us a list of all the users and tell us whether or not they're locked or disabled currently. Looks like we've got administrator, guest, the IE user, which was the default user that was on this particular image that I have. In your case, it's going to be VM Lite. They've got SSHD and SSHD server for secure shell. So our options are quit, list the users, or enter the name of the user, the username that we want to change. In our case, we're going to change the IE user, so it's IE user. You're going to actually be putting in VM Lite, so pay attention to what it says, spell it exactly the same. So once I selected that one, it tells me what the user ID is. It then tells me what the full name is, home directory, etc. Tells me which groups it's a member of. It looks like the passwords don't expire on this user, and it's a normal account, so it's not a system account. I've failed to log in 3 times, so I actually tried logging in 3 times. Apparently I've booted it at least 41 times, so or at least Microsoft did. They've booted this image. So the question is, what do we want to do? Do I want to blank out the password? Do I want to set a new password? Do I want to promote the user? Typically, we're going to just blank the password, so that way we can go in and set it using Windows. So, or I can hit Q to quit. I'm going to press 1. The user's not currently locked, so I don't have to worry about that. So I'm clearing the password. Password is cleared. You can select quit, or you can do another user. I'm going to just do Q for quit. Actually, I need to do exclamation point for quit. Now that I've done that, I can hit Q for quit again. Get out of the SAM. Now, do you want to write your changes? About to write files back. Do it? Yes or no? The default is no. So that's your out. No changes, but I'm actually going to say yes. And it's complete. You can now try again if somehow that failed. Do you want to run through it again? N for new, or I'm going to just say Q for quit. So now it's saying, hey, we're at the end. I closed down all the scripts. If you want to restart this machine, go ahead and restart it. In this box, it's also telling us to remove the CD drive. So I'm just going to go to my optical drive and remove the disk from the virtual machine. You're just going to pop the disk out at this point. And then you're going to reboot the machine. So I'm going to come up here to machine and I'm going to hit reset. Should reset it. Windows should start. i.e. user is the default user that's going to log in. So it's just going to automatically log in. Now if it asks me to put in the password, I know it's blank. But in this case, because there is no password, he's the only real user, I don't have to actually put in the username and password. I can go into the settings now. I can do run, control user passwords to. That's a command I can type in. That's what I just tested out a minute ago. I can go in here and I can reset this user. I can actually go into advanced and I can say manage the passwords. Right now there are no Windows credentials, so I can go change those. You can also go into the advanced user management, which is probably where you should go anyway. Go into users. This brings up the I forget what they call these things. It's a control console. Basically, it shows you all the users. I can right-click on this user and I can reset the password. So I can do that if I want. Another way I can do that is if I just hit Control-Alt-Delete on this machine. So input, keyboard, I can just hit change password. So my old password is that, and I'll just set my new password. And now I have a new password. I'm going to log out. And let's see if my new password works. course, I can't remember if I capitalized the first letter. And that's it. So that's how you're going to reset it. It works the same way on Windows XP. So again, you're going to download that Hiren's boot CD. You're going to get into the offline password change tool, mount the hard drive, edit the SAM, edit the registry, get in there, change the password to the user, and then you should be done. Once you're in, then you've got to go in and find the config file in Manager. So on the Manager PC, you can go to the C drive, program files, x86, or just program files via IP Office Manager, and look for the config file, the most recent config file. Copy it, save it to your laptop. If you want, at that point, you could actually just load it from that computer, but I would actually get a copy of it onto like a thumb drive, put it on your laptop, open it in your laptop, and then send it offline to the brand new IP Office 412. Using that 412, it's going to have default IP addresses on both LAN 1 and LAN 2. That means it's going to have an IP address of 192.168.42.1 on LAN 1 and 43.1 on LAN 2. So you can be 192.168.43.2 or 42.2, and then you can send the config to the box. Once you've sent the config to the box, it reboots, and you've plugged in all the devices. Well, actually on that system, it's just the expansion modules and the LAN ports. Once it reboots, then it should start talking back to its own voicemail. The other thing to note is that the IP5 or the 412 has internal daughter cards that you have to remove from the old 412 and put into the new 412. You got to do that when it's powered down. You got to pop those little things off of the motherboard, the little plastic standoffs. So you're going to pop those out off of the 412 motherboard so that you can get the daughter card off. Use a pair of needle nose pliers to just squeeze them and then pull them up so that you can get those out to transfer them over to the 412. There may be up to 3 of those in there, or actually 4 of them, because there is a PRI module, a analog module possibly, a VCM module possibly, and a modem module that could all go inside that 412. So there's up to 4 of them, but it'll be obvious whether there's one on there. The motherboard by itself is just a motherboard. If there's anything on top of it that's a daughter card, you got to transfer it. And if you want, you can send me a photo and I'll tell you what, once you open the box, what's what. You'll need to also remember to get the face plates from the back ports. And the tip is, put the face plate in first, then put the module down. Don't try to put the module in and then be like, how do I get this face plate in? Because it ain't going in. Put the face plate in first, then put the module in, and the case gives a little so that way you can fit the module in once the face plate is in. Anyway, if you have questions, if you've never worked with a 412, you'll run into stuff like that. So that's all I got for you, buddy. Good luck.